Hey guys, this time we're diving into a horror movie that will definitely send chills down your spine at night. Imagine, you've just moved into a new house, overjoyed to welcome your first child. But behind all that happiness, something sinister lurks in the shadows, watching your every move, waiting for your baby. This film slowly unravels a terror that tightens its grip with every scene. Who exactly is Asih? And why is she so obsessed with newborn babies? Watch until the end, and you'll understand why you should always keep your doors tightly closed after this. Okay, without further ado, let's get straight to the point. And if you like this channel, as always, please subscribe so you don't miss any other interesting videos from latest movie stories. The film begins with a woman named Asih carrying her baby, the result of an illicit relationship she had while working in the city, walking through heavy rain as thunder rumbles. When she arrives at a small, rundown hut, no one knows what's going through Asih's mind. She suddenly bathes her baby in the middle of the night while softly singing a lullaby. Crazy. Asih not only bathed her baby in the middle of the night, but also drowned the innocent child in a basin. Then, Asih, with a sorrowful face, slowly leaves the miserable hut. It becomes clear that she has completely lost her sanity, believing that she is still holding and soothing the spirit of her drowned baby. When she arrives at an old banyan tree, she gently lays what she believes to be her baby's spirit beside a rock. Then, using a stainless steel comb, the deranged Asih decides to end her own life so she can live with her baby in another realm. Tragically and sinfully, Asih dies there, after committing 3 unforgivable sins in one night. The next morning, the scene shifts to a beautiful pregnant woman named Ida, with the help of her mother-in-law, Marnie. She's seen preparing a baby crib, excitedly getting everything ready for the arrival of her baby, due in just 1 month. Meanwhile, outside, Ida's husband, Andy, surprises her with an old, worn-out baby stroller. Even though it's outdated, the devoted wife, Ida, looks genuinely happy and grateful for the thoughtful gesture. As night falls, time passes quietly. Somehow, they forget to bring in the laundry until late at night. When they return home, Andy sees his wife taking down the laundry in the dark and immediately warns her that what she's doing is taboo. At that moment, his mother-in-law apologized, saying she forgot to bring the laundry. It turned out that Marnie, now elderly, was starting to experience dementia. As they sat down for dinner, Andy casually mentioned that it was his turn to take care of the neighborhood. Despite the pouring rain, Andy didn't want to be fined by the neighborhood leader, so he reluctantly went to do his duty. Just as Ida was about to go to sleep, she was shocked when the electricity in her house suddenly went out, just as the door creaked open. In the midst of the strange events happening, Ida, who's starting to feel a chill run down her spine, quickly rushes back into the house. But without her realizing it, mysterious footprints have already entered her home first. Ida suddenly panics when she sees her water breaking, even though her due date is still a month away. A short while later, a midwife named Seka rushes in, trying her best to help Ida, who is now moments away from giving birth. Although the baby was born prematurely at 8 months, she was healthy. The next morning, Andy, who works as a civil servant at the sub-district office, prepared to return to work. Before leaving, he lovingly said goodbye to Ida and their newborn daughter, whom they named Amelia. A few moments later, Grandma Marnie asked Ida for permission to take baby Amelia outside to sunbathe in the yard. As the sun grew hotter, Marnie quickly brought Amelia back inside the house. Meanwhile, after finishing hanging the laundry, Ida hurried to check on her daughter. Ida was instantly shocked when she saw her baby still lying under the scorching sun. In the middle of her confusion, Marnie insisted that she had already taken Amelia inside to rest in the shade. Hearing that, Ita realized that her mother-in-law's forgetfulness was getting worse. A few moments later, Marnie, who was choosing medicines, suddenly looked confused when she heard the faint sound of a lullaby from outside.
Ita.
In the middle of her confusion, Marnie asked Ita if she had heard the same strange humming. But Ita looked puzzled by what her mother-in-law was talking about. Later that afternoon, after checking on baby Amelia's condition, the midwife, Sekar, brought a small gift. A doll that once belonged to her own daughter, who had now grown up and no longer needed it. As they chatted, Sekar shared several tips and taboos that Ita should be careful about. She warned that newborn babies often have a sweet scent that can attract supernatural beings. Sekar also told Ita to avoid placing the baby's crib near the window, since such a thing was believed to invite the presence of a female spirit. Not stopping there, Sekar, who loved to gossip, went on to share a horrifying story from the neighboring village, where, just days ago, a woman had ended her life under an old banyan tree after drowning her own baby in a basin. For safety, Sekar advised Ida to keep a pair of scissors under her pillow, saying it would ward off evil spirits. According to local beliefs, the ghost of a mother who took her own life after killing her child could transform into a kuntilanak, a vengeful female specter.
Suara ketukan tiang listrik. Di malam setan tidak berani dekat-dekat. Ya, mana teh? Jasadnya nggak tahu.
A moment later, Ida noticed an antique comb lying on the floor. Without thinking much, she picked it up, unaware that the comb once belonged to Asih, the cursed spirit who had taken her own life. That night, Andy curiously asked Ita why she kept a pair of sewing scissors under their pillow. Ita calmly explained that it was for protection, from evil spirits that might try to disturb them. Hearing that, Andy couldn't help but be puzzled. He told her that reciting verses from the Quran would be far more powerful than relying on a pair of scissors. However, Ita stubbornly insisted, saying there was nothing wrong with taking extra precautions.
Tapi perasaanku hari ini tidak enak.
A few moments later, Ida asked her husband to bury Amelia's placenta, which had been left for 2 days without being buried. How careless. Wouldn't it start to smell? Realizing his mistake, Andy immediately rushed outside to bury it. Seeing that Ida's breast milk wasn't flowing much, Marnie advised her daughter-in-law to eat more katak leaves and not to overthink things.
Kamu sudah makan?
Moments later, Marnie hurried to perform the Isha prayer. In her confusion, Marnie thought she saw someone pass by and tried to confirm it with Ida. However, Ida, believing her mother-in-law's dementia was worsening, simply excused herself to rest. Meanwhile, in the bedroom, Ida, worried about her mother-in-law's worsening dementia, told Andy about it. However, because his mother was elderly, Andy asked his wife to be more understanding. Meanwhile, Marnie, who was reciting her prayers, suddenly experienced something strange. Astaghfirullah! She screamed in shock as the ghostly figure of Asih shouted right into her ear. In a panic, the forgetful Marnie hurriedly grabbed a notebook to write down everything she had just experienced. In the middle of the night, Ida tries to calm Amelia, who suddenly starts crying. Amidst these strange occurrences, she becomes even more panicked when she sees the rocking chair start moving on its own. Astaghfirullah. Once again, Asih appeared with her terrifying face, delivering another horrifying jump scare. The next morning, Ida immediately told her husband about the strange things she had experienced. She then asked Andy to call the local ustaz as soon as possible. However, Andy simply told her to get more rest instead. Ida eventually assumed that what she had experienced was just a hallucination caused by exhaustion. A few moments after putting her baby to sleep, Ida decided to take a rest. However, just as she was about to close her eyes, she suddenly panicked, hearing a strange noise coming from inside the closet. Like an Annabelle-style terror, Asih suddenly leaped out from inside the closet. That night, while showing her mother-in-law's notes, Ida once again tried to convince her husband about the ghostly terror they had been experiencing. However, despite everything, Andy, the most open-minded civil servant, still refused to believe her.
Kamu percaya kan, Ah?
In the middle of the night, when Andy was drinking in the kitchen, Andy suddenly became confused when he heard the incessant chirping of chicks from the direction of the yard. Andy was utterly shocked when he saw Asih's ghost feasting on her child's placenta. After experiencing this extreme terror from Asih's spirit, Andy finally believed. The next morning, while Ida was bathing her baby in rice water, she experienced another strange occurrence. Wait! Where did she go? Amelia! Ita panicked, trembling with fear as her daughter suddenly vanished into the rice water. Turns out, the baby had been kidnapped by Asih, whose jealousy and vengeful nature knew no bounds. Not long after their daughter went missing, Andy revealed that the police were processing the report. However, Ita insisted that Amelia had been kidnapped by a supernatural being. Since Pa Ustaz was away on pilgrimage, Ita asked her husband to visit Abba Idi, who was knowledgeable about the paranormal. That night, whether it was a sign or not, Abba Idi, with his mystical skills, began drawing the ancient banyan tree, the same one where Asih had shortened her lifespan. Not only that, but he also sketched a figure of Asih carrying Ita's baby. A few moments later, a panicked Andy rushed to ask for Abba Idi's help in finding their daughter, who had been abducted by a ghostly entity. Upon returning home, Abba Idi revealed that Amelia had been taken by a spirit more vile than the Kuntilanak, a being named Asih.
Namanya Kasih.
Asih, a woman who made poor choices after moving to the city, faced rejection from her family when she returned with a baby from an out-of-wedlock relationship. She was considered a disgrace by the community. In her desperation, Asih, having lost her way, ultimately chose to end her life under an old banyan tree after drowning her innocent baby in a basin. Abba Idi added that Asih now desires Ita's baby as a replacement for the child she had killed. It's a strange and unsettling situation. Abba Idi further explained that Asih had been targeting Ita even before she gave birth, having set her sights on the baby from the very beginning. From his vision, Abba Idi revealed that Ita had unknowingly kept an item belonging to Asih. Upon hearing this, Ita quickly rushed to retrieve the comb she had found some time ago.
Sekarang saya butuh lilin.
A few moments after obtaining Asih's belongings, Abba Idi immediately began a ritual to summon Asih's spirit. After removing his glasses, Abba Idi, hearing Asih's haunting song, urged them to strengthen their prayers. Meanwhile, he would continue the search. Realizing that Asih's spirit had left, Abba Idi immediately urged Andy to go to the ancient banyan tree. Upon arriving at the tree, Abba Idi instructed Andy to recite the call to prayer, Adhan.
Allahu Akbar. Asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah.
Hearing this, Abba Idi revealed, "Your child is behind the banyan tree." By the grace of Allah, they were able to find Amelia.
Sama Abah berhasil menemukan Amelia.
Once they arrived home, Andy, who was about to take Abba Idi back, handed over their daughter to Ida, who was sitting on a chair wearing a mukina. "Let Ita and Amelia rest for now," he said. However, Abba Idi immediately panicked when he heard Ita singing in a manner resembling Asih. Realizing that Ita had been possessed by Asih's spirit, Abba Idi demanded that the spirit of Asih release Ita and her baby. However, the spirit of Asih clearly ignored his plea, continuing its hold over Ita. And when Ita, the possessed, suddenly disappeared, Abba Idi urged them to go to the back. Once again, Asih, the vengeful spirit, tried to drown the baby Aita in a basin. At that moment, Abba Aidi and his family worked together to wake Aita, urging her to resist the influence of Asih, the evil spirit. "Leave this body, leave yourself!" Abba Aidi exclaimed. Allahu Akbar. Finally, Ita was able to break free from Asih's influence. Moments later, Andy thanked Abba Aidi for saving his family from Asih's terror. Before leaving, Abba Aidi asked Marnie to stick Asih's comb under the old banyan tree, the place where Asih had committed suicide.
Harus bisa memaafkan Asih.
The next day, Marnie immediately stuck the comb under the old banyan tree. Long story short, 37 years later, the story continues in the film Danur 1, which I'll discuss in the next video. And with that, this film comes to an end. Stay tuned for the continuation only on latest movie stories. That's the storyline of the movie Asih. Beneath its terror, this movie carries a deeply moving message. Asih's story is the tragedy of suicide. Its biggest message is, no matter how difficult the problem, despair is not the solution. Life always offers the opportunity to become better. And remember, Asih's tragic story is just the beginning. If you're curious about the full story and want to know how this terror is connected to an indigo child named Risa, stay tuned for the rest of the story. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next horror video.